Ever since the Honda City was launched, it set a new benchmark in its segment and gave the segment a really good aspirational value. Now, over the years, a lot of cars tried to match it, and the Honda City itself grew and evolved into a much safer, a much more comfortable and a feature-packed car. But through this evolution, the Honda City somewhere lost the soul that the original Honda City had, and that made it such a delight for driving enthusiasts. Well, now we have the latest 5th gen Honda City with us here today, and we've been driving it, and we will continue to drive it for the next few minutes and tell you how good is it than its earlier predecessors, and more importantly, has this Honda City been able to retain the soul of the original Honda City or not. When you look at the new Honda City, the first thing that will come to the mind of many people is the fact that this looks so much similar to the Civic that is on sale presently. Well, digging into design details, the new City is a lot sharper than the older model, and of course you can see it has a lot of creases and a lot of interplay between designs. Well, grabbing attention at the front are these sleek LED headlamps, and they've got good looking DRLs. Of course, there's this thick chrome slat grille, and this is something which is a trademark Honda design feature. Again, a lot of sharp creases around in the lower part of the bumper and again around the headlamp, and even the hood has been given a good level of sculpting. So overall, what this does is gives the new City a very hunkered down and a low stance, and that really goes along well with the kind of design a sedan should have. Once you move along to the side of the new City, the same sharp design philosophy continues. You can see a lot of strong lines running through the length of the car, and of course, once you look at the side, you can also make out that it is a larger car. Now, to give you a perspective as to how big the new City is, well, the City is now as big as the older Civic that was on sale in India. So yes, it is a sizable car, and it is no longer just an entry-level sedan. It is a premium sedan by size and by features, which we'll discuss further. Once you look at the wheels, again, good looking alloy wheels here. Now these are 16-inch units, and the rubber size you get is a 185 section, and that is standard across all variants. Moving further along the side, giving the new City a sportier profile is the roofline, and you can see right between the B and the C pillar is where it starts tapering down, and it continues to do so till the boot lid. And of course, the tail lamps, again, these are good looking, sleek LED tail lamps. They look good. They give the City's rear end a nice sporty effect, and the tailgates, the body lines, the character lines, again, those two have been integrated well with the rest of the design, and as a result of that, what you get is a car that looks premium, it looks sporty, and of course, it looks a lot more desirable than ever. Now, once you step inside the cabin of the all-new City, you are greeted to a very well-appointed interior. Now, grabbing your attention will be this part first, and it's a very nicely laid out dashboard, and it's completely clutter-free, unlike the older City. So this really looks nice, and you've got good material quality throughout the dashboard, even on the top part, in the middle part, and of course on the lower part you have this soft touch leather finish. You've got a nice looking wood finish along the center just to break the monotony. So it looks good and has been integrated really well, and you have a good looking infotainment screen here, and it's a good unit to use. Now, this has been one area of pain for Honda in its previous cars, and it got sorted out with the Civic and finally now with the City. So you finally get a good touchscreen infotainment system that supports Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, has got good resolution, has not got much lag, it has a nice simple user interface. So a good job done on this front finally. And apart from that, also if you look at the instrument cluster, again it's a very nicely laid out unit. I like the fact that they have not gone completely digital, so you still have the speedometer in the analog manner, and of course you have a digital display which shows the tachometer and all the other related information. So the combination of this analog and digital display is something that is nice, gives you a good readout, and at the same time is in sync with the good driving character of Honda City. Moving further, well, if you move along the center console, again you get this nice spacious place. You can place your wallet, your smartphone here. Unfortunately, no wireless charging, but then of course you have two USB sockets here. One supports fast charging, one for normal, and you have a 12 volt 180 watt charging point as well. Then you have these nice cup holders here, and the fact that you only get minimal piano black finish around the gear lever. Now this is a manual version. In the shot following in a few seconds, you will see how this console looks with the automatic shift selector. But the good thing is, less use of piano black means your cabin, your center console will not look dirty because you'll not have your fingerprint smudges or dust glowing off it. So a nice detailing touch on that part. And of course, in terms of space, otherwise also the cabin is nicely laid out. You get good spacious door pockets, and you have some space here again underneath the driver armrest. And yeah, it's a well appointed cabin overall. If you even look at the steering wheel, it's a nice chunky leather wrapped steering wheel. It's got all the required controls, be it the cruise control, your audio or your telephonic control, or your multi-information display control. Everything is right there in its place. Even if we talk about the seats, now the seats themselves are quite a step up from the older City, and that's a welcome news. The new seats are quite spacious, so people of larger body frames also will find themselves to be comfortable in these. And of course the cushioning is quite nice, and you've got good side support, shoulder support. So yes, if you're going to be in these seats for a long time, you're not going to have a reason to complain. Now once you're in the rear seat of the Honda City, well, this is an area where the City has always been strong, and with the all new City there is hardly any area that I can think you can complain of, and that is primarily because in terms of space there is quite literally a lot of it. And with the driver's seat adjusted to my driving preference, and me being 5 feet 8 inches tall, you can see there is a lot of leg room to spare. Again, the footboard has been given a slight incline, so when you're sitting in this rear bench for a long duration, your feet will feel quite relaxed. So that is again a nice touch inside the car. And this seat itself, well, it's a very nice seat. The cushioning is almost spot on, and even the under thigh support is adequate. I think for most people it should suffice. The backrest angle again is quite nice, and you also have a cushioned armrest here. And the good thing is that for the middle occupant also you get a seat belt, so that gives it a higher score in terms of safety. And as far as safety is concerned, you can see on the screen right now the Honda City is loaded with safety features. So again, being a car that you can drive fast, you can have a lot of comfort and luxury in, safety is not an area you need to worry about. But coming back to the interior, again, like I said, a lot of good things to report. And in terms of space, no complaint. In terms of headroom also, you can see despite the coupe design, the sloping roofline, the headroom has not been compromised much. And the other good thing inside the car that I really like is the attention to detail that has been given. Now if you look at the switches again, they have such a rich feel to it, and this is throughout the cabin, and that just gives the City a lot more premium character that the older car was missing, but this one certainly has it. You also have an electrically operated sunroof, which again adds more airiness to an already spacious cabin. You've got these rear AC vents here, two 180 watt power outlets here. So in a nutshell, if you are someone who's looking for a family car, the all new Honda City is almost the perfect car you can think of. And if you are someone who's looking for a chauffeur driven vehicle, well, the all new 5th gen City, in my opinion, is the best vehicle you can buy in the market once it's on sale. Because of the coronavirus, not many people are making their airport runs, but if and when you do, the Honda City is going to deliver well, because it gives you one of the largest boot spaces, 506 liters of volume to be precise, and all of that has been designed well. So that means you can place in a lot of luggage in an easy manner, and that is a really good thing. Of course, the loading lip also is not too high. So overall, an accessible and a usable boot.
And now let's talk about the performance bit of the all-new Honda City. Now, what you get in terms of engine options is a choice between a petrol and a diesel motor. Both displace 1.5 liters, and transmission options include either a CVT with the petrol motor or a 6-speed manual, whereas the diesel can only be had with a 6-speed manual unit. Now, as far as the one that I'm driving right now, which is the CVT variant, is concerned, it is a very comfortable and a refined car to drive. So if you're looking for a no-nonsense, comfortable driving experience and a very family-oriented car, well, this is the one you should go for. The CVT performance is quite nice. It's much better than many of the other CVTs out in the market. And of course, there is the rubber band effect. It's not devoid of that rubber band effect, but it's not to the point that it might really put you off. So yes, it's a well synchronized unit. The engine itself is, again, as far as stats are concerned, the displacement and the torque is the same as the early unit, but it is not exactly the same engine. The engine has been significantly reworked internally to improve performance in multiple areas, and as a result of that, you also get a slight power bump of just about 2 horsepower, which means you get 120 PS of power with this motor. Now, the motor itself is a very refined unit, and the performance again is quite nice, but really the highlight for me is the fact that with the manual gearbox, the all-new City is an absolute treat to drive. And like I said earlier, the first generation was such a magnificent car to drive. It was such a joyful car to drive. This, finally, after the first generation, is a car that you can really enjoy driving because the motor is really nice. It revs freely to about 6,500 RPM. It does not complain at all if you're revving her hard, and the manual gearbox again is slick. The gear throws are short, the gear ratios are well matched to the engine. So couple all of this in, what you get is a phenomenal driving experience, which really brings back the sweet memories of the original, the first generation Honda City, and that, in my view, is the biggest achievement for this all-new 5th generation Honda City, bringing back that driving DNA from the original model. But beyond that, again, it is a great car to drive, even in terms of everyday performance. If you talk about ride quality, is quite supple. Honda City has always been known for offering good ride quality, and that legacy continues in the new City as well. Now, the handling also is good. So what you get is a great balance between handling and ride quality. Of course, there's a slight bias towards comfort. So the suspension is tuned more towards the softer side, but that does not mean the City feels nervous around corners. And if you really attack corners, it will still keep you happy. And of course, straight line stability is good. And as far as active safety is concerned, again, a lot of features that you would expect from a car of this segment that we already showed you on the screen earlier. But some of the notable ones that I would like to talk about are the vehicle stability assist system, which is the old school ESC, and of course you have a blind view monitor system for your left side. You have again 3 viewing angles for the reverse parking camera, and then of course you do have the very new feature for the segment, which is called the handling assist. Now, this is something that applies slight braking to the front wheels while you're cornering, and what that does is it just helps keep the car planted, keep the car a little more stable, and you can feel the system working, especially when you're going through a series of quick turns. That is where you can find it doing its job. So yeah, in a nutshell, well, the Honda City has grown once again in the new generation. It's much better to drive. It's very refined, it's comfortable, and like I said, the highlight is that it's once again fun to drive.
So the all-new Honda City in its 5th gen now, we have proven is a lot better in almost every area. And like the earlier 4 generations, it has once again evolved, it has grown, and it is a lot more premium now. It's safer, it's feature-packed. More importantly, it builds upon some of the shortcomings that the older City had, especially in the area of infotainment. So all those things have been listened to and they have been corrected. So that's a really good thing with the all-new Honda City. Now, beyond all of the improvement in this car, one other important thing that remains to be answered is that does this have the DNA or the feel of the original first gen Honda City? And the answer to that question is a simple yes. But only if you're going in for the manual version with the petrol engine. This car is an absolute delight to drive and brings back some memories of the original first gen Honda City. So yes, if you are a driving enthusiast, the petrol Honda City with a manual gearbox is pretty much the best option you can get in this segment today. And apart from that, if you are someone who's looking for a modern, feature-loaded, spacious, a family-oriented car or a chauffeur-driven car, again, the all-new 5th gen Honda City pretty much checks all the required boxes. That said, the biggest thing that remains to be answered about the all-new Honda City is its price, which is not out yet and is expected to be out by sometime in the first week of July. But we can tell you right now that the new Honda City will be positioned as a premium sedan because the older City is not being discontinued. It will continue to be on sale as the base variants. So for the lower variants, you go to the older City, and this will be available only in higher trims, and that's why the premium positioning. But even despite the premium positioning, Honda will have to be very careful with the pricing and ensure that they price this car competitively. If they outprice themselves, despite being a great car, this could be a lost cause. But if Honda is able to price the all-new City competitively, there is a good chance that this car can go on to establish itself at the top of its segment and in the process also bring back some of the great memories of the first gen Honda City's success.